Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. XRP video here today, and particularly around real estate. Crazy, we did a video yesterday on property, and conveniently we're going to be talking about real estate again, but through Ripple. Can you believe it? The XRP potential utility in this could be huge. So guys, bear with us. Do check out the other videos on the channel if you haven't done so already. Multitude of different topics and discussions and assets that we cover. If there aren't any that you hold that we don't do, let us know in the comments and we'll try and do videos of those as and when we can, once we've done the research, of course. And don't forget, of course, to smash that subscribe button. We're on our way to 10,000. Can you believe it? Thank you so much to everyone in the community that we're building here on the Whales of Wall Street. I love your comments, love your thoughts. So do get those out there. We love the opinions of everyone and what we want to achieve as a group. Guys, let's get into this conversation. Ripple recently talking here about real estate utilizing Web3, blockchain and NFTs. Okay, so we mentioned in the video yesterday, or maybe the day before, I can't remember, with ProprHome, that there's a market value here by 2031 of potentially $48 trillion. This is huge. This is obviously an incorporation of things like domestic properties, commercial, institutional, you name it, it's on there, right? It's all included in this number. Now, we talked more about yesterday about why or how Web3 and blockchain is going to really enhance the property buying and selling process. Now, blockchain, of course, allows many great things here in terms of verification, in terms of processing, the aspect of potentially removing things like fraud and money laundering, which, by the way, is a long process in the traditional and existing real estate processing. Now, we can also potentially remove some intermediaries to really speed up the process further. So when we talk about like algorithms and data of properties, the property valuations in particular as well, this coincides really with what we talk about a lot with like the energy sector, for example, as to what's the actual transparent cost here or the price here. And we as customers or end users never really get that transparency. We just pay the bills and it's out of our control. But we got the ability with blockchain to become prosumers in the energy sectors, right? There's a similar consequence here in blockchain via real estate also. This can be the potential opportunity for you to be able to utilizing systems and Web3 platforms to buy and sell properties on there. Utilizing blockchain, as I said, to potentially remove existing intermediaries and take advantage of this because of the speeding up process. And here in the UK, housing could take months and months and months of processing. And in some cases, people lose out on purchasing the house because of the chain. This might be a terminology that you're used to in other countries, I'm not sure. But what I mean by the housing chain is that if you're trying to buy a house that's owned by someone else, which is for sale, obviously, that person might be trying to move to a house as well, but they're still waiting to move out because that house they're after is being sold or delayed or whatever it might be. And there's so many variables as to why this happens, okay? Now in 2020 and 2021, for obvious reasons, everything slowed down, including the housing market. And this created a massive backlog, even probably still pushing through most of them today in 2022. However, the point being is that the speeding up process is really on our doorstep. With blockchain and Web3. Now, Ripple, of course, huge company. I love these kind of big projects that have been around for a number of years, of course, utilizing different sectors and utilizing different solutions for all the things that we have in our world today. Utilizing here, as we see on the screen, NFTs. Now, I've always mentioned about NFTs. NFTs aren't just pieces of art, guys. Anything with a non-ratio of 1-to-1 can be an NFT, and this can even be on a digital and also a physical aspect as well. And with the metaverse building more and more, this gives the application potentially for us to go even more video tours, for example, whether it be in other countries or in the country that you're in, to go and see properties the best way you can without actually having to physically travel there. And you could potentially buy the property in the metaverse and obviously get the physical property as part of the deeds. When we're talking about the deeds, we're talking about potential aspect of smart contracts, for example. This is where we have the algorithm of data, including you as your identity or your DIDs. This is why DIDs are very important for many aspects of blockchain and the world moving forward. But the aspect here being that all the data, all the information is already imprinted in blockchain. So we've already got the information. It's already been processed, it's already been verified. And simultaneously, all this stuff can happen instead of long administrative work, expense to an extent as well, both for you, for all your fees and everything, stamp duties, all of this kind of stuff, but also for the costs in general for the economy of moving forwards in a faster pace. Now here, for example, streamlining property transactions using NFTs. Selling a home traditionally is long. We've already mentioned this. From the initial listing of a home to the final close. Exactly the point I was making across all the videos we've ever done on real estate. Tokenizing a home as an NFT confers powerful advantages for both businesses and consumers' digital ownership, tax records, pricing history, legal disputes involving the property. If you go and get an extension on your house, for example, I mentioned this again yesterday in the video on property, all the materials you buy will eventually be related into blockchain as well. So when you've got this devised conservatory or an extension to your house, all the building materials have been incorporated into that, then added with all the mathematics of things like algorithm of supply and demand of housing, the valuation of regions, countries, your localization of valuations, and it builds it in a more transparent, real-time way rather than paying for someone to come in and go, yeah, I think this house is worth X, Y, Z, which is potentially not reflective at all on the market. They either can't be bothered to do it properly and they just want to get out of your house as soon as possible and go on to the next one and finish their day, or they're just simply going on the basis of what makes the money that for the company that I work for more money. And this is very evident. I've been part of this system in some aspects recently, where trying to sell a house, a surveyor comes with one valuation, the bank has an obscene valuation even higher, and the groups that have these houses in the area as well, they all have their own different valuations, and the estate agents have their different valuations. So you're sitting there in the middle of all this going, well, which one is it? And then which one's benefiting me? Oh, I don't have a choice. Brilliant. And that's kind of like the similar with the things like energy and stuff like this, right? So it says here, for real estate agencies and property management companies, an NFT can also be more easily and widely marketed. In the case of Alexandra's Gulfport home, the auction drew nearly 3,000 bidders. Now, this is referring to, ironically, a property article or property mechanism here. Homes sold as an NFT, non-fungible token on blockchain in the United States for $654,000. And Ethereum, I can't remember how much that exactly was, but I remember at the time we covered that in the video. And it's very exciting. Ripple, a leader of blockchain crypto solutions, announced a new partnership with ProprHome, blockchain-enabled real estate marketplace. Now, this particular article leading across to the aspect of property is very interesting. So this is what they were talking about, 210 Ethereum at the time in Tampa Bay. It's a great initiative and it's a great solution. It's a great case study for how real estate can work. The speed at which it was done, the price reduction and savings that were done for all parties is quite incredible. The US market is obviously huge for properties and things like this in certain areas as well. But here we go. The partnership will leverage the XRP ledger, the open source layer 1 blockchain, through an NFT utility, provide faster, more reliable and energy efficient transactions. That's the usual narrative around XRP in general. But about the ProprHome, here's what you need to know. The latter explains the differences between what will change from now on, basically telling you about the future of what is to come. And this is very related to around Portugal in particular as a case study. But for me, the overall principle of this is quite phenomenal. And the fact that now the mainstream blockchains and projects and technologies are focusing on this more and more and becoming more of a narrative is really exciting, because not only do we talk about this on the channel already, which makes us look good, and have done for many times and months and years, but also the transition of you as an investor or looking to see what the case studies and the utilization are of tokens and the projects themselves moving forward. And this is a huge one, guys, a huge one. We already talked about artificial intelligence, energy sector, but when you incorporate the entire conversation narrative of blockchain, you can finally realize how this is all going to work, how we're all going to become autonomous, automated, data-driven, automatically and simultaneously, by the way, all of these things. So it's quite amazing, really. Ripple supporting sustainability. We talk about the transactional aspect, reducing the cost, the administrative costs, the cost of the transactions, everything. Think of how much energy is potentially used through your banks or your systems for incorporating a mortgage application and processing that. All the people working involved in your house buying or selling, utilizing energy. This is how we can reduce this all, and it all contributes. Once you get your head around this, you really understand where the savings are. And of course, Ripple and the goal and sustainability of the planet by 2030. This is very heavily in line with the Agenda 30 program. In the tweet on 15th of May, this included a list of their partners, which already includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Very interesting because they are very heavily involved in the World Economic Forum anyway. And this is part of the Sustainability UN program of 2030, which is headed by the World Economic Forum anyway. So it's all interlaced, guys. They all pretty much work with each other and for each other for a long, long time. But the goals are clear. The technological advancements are here today, and we can take advantage of them, whether it's being through investments or actually utilizing the solution itself. And I'm really excited about this, guys. I'm super excited. I don't like this comparison between Bitcoin and chains, because Bitcoin's, first of all, very old, and it's its own separate technology, and it's fully decentralized. So I don't particularly like that. A lot of people do batter that topic, albeit some of it's true. But we did do a really cool green energy video a while back, showing that actually even Bitcoin is more superior energy-wise than the existing banking system, irrespective of whether there are other chains and projects out there that probably better it beyond that now, for sure. But this is a very interesting article. It's a very interesting topic throughout. And I want you guys to hopefully do some extra research yourselves on this, because this is a huge topic. And it's going to be something that you probably see a lot more of. And I can probably guarantee it could be potentially a motion for one of the future bull runs. We had the NFT aspect. We had metaverse, of course, last year. We've had gaming before. And we've had a multitude of other things before that. DApps and DEXs and all this kind of thing. So this could be really exciting, and could be a narrative that you see more and more of, that pushes people to understand this even further. And that's how we get more and more mass adoption and mass awareness of these kind of things. So I think this is brilliant, guys, and it's good to, as I said, to see some mainstream projects, irrespective of they're not the pioneers of this, but they're seeing repeated patterns on this and the momentum of what's going to happen in the future and the now. So whilst we've got that on topic, we're going to the XRP price. We've had a bit of a stabilization, but also a bit of an increase as well in the last few days. 21% up since the 21st of November, literally 5 days ago as of recording. So it hasn't moved significantly. We're talking about, maybe 4 or 5 cents here in terms of movement, but it's nice to see some progression, at least after the horrendous market that we've been in for the last year, pretty much. Okay, XRP though has seen some good strength, even hit some heights of 56 cents in the last few months. So there's some potential for some really cool movements or slightly bigger movements in these short-term periods with an asset like XRP. Now, of course, still under the SEC motion, which I still believe is a circus and nonsense, but we still have to abide by this because it's happening regardless whether we like it or not, or what we believe and don't believe. It's here. So for now, it's still going to be continuously suppressed, right? But with more of these narratives coming out from Ripple, there's going to be even more further pressure to be saying, like, this has a gigantic utility across the world. It's already integrated, guys, with pretty much every bank around the world. Let's be clear on this. It's pretty much in every bank. It's just not being switched on yet. And there's 2 components to that. 1, the SEC, and 2, of course, the fact that the RTGS piloting system and the inclusion of the ISO 222 compliance is still in its trial and piloting stages, and will be transitioning through the next few years into November 2025. So there's going to be several aspects of suppression along the way. Hopefully the SEC thing finishes at some point in our lifetime, and we can see some fruits that we can get the reaps of rewards for. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But for now, we just got to anticipate what's going on with XRP at this moment in time. And we're currently, literally, if you look back in history, hitting this barrier that we've seen a multitude of times this year, particularly in May and August respectively. And we're now seeing it again right now. Bit of a bubble effect here in the middle of November. And right now we've hit the barrier once more, approaching roughly around this mark of 40 to 42 cents. Okay, so this is a barrier. I don't know if we'll hit past this. If we do, I don't anticipate to stay for too long. You can see the big magnet dropped us back down over a small period of time anyway, once we hit over that and got to the 55. So on this marker right now, we've got to anticipate this fib retracement level of around 40 cents and fluctuation patterns probably between here and the 35 marker as well. So I do have still my buy orders back at those sort of 36 cents and 33 cent markers as well. The 33 cents mainly for anticipating the areas that we see. If we drew, or in fact, I'll just move for now this orange line across to here so you know exactly what I'm talking about. First of all, we've hit these points a few times before, earlier in November, but if you look historically in the last few months, or the last 6 months at least, you'll see this is a really good area of support and resistance. So that's why I've still got my buy orders here. But again, XRP I've been holding for a long time. I was buying majority of mine at around 12-13 cents. So I just accumulate basically XRP as and when I see stabilization and at some of the lowest points possible. To do that as well, I do look at the RSI data, of which right now, very much bang in the middle, 14 days showing 50 and 28.48. So for me right now, I'm not purchasing XRP on a run up. I'm waiting for a bit of stabilization or a bit more of a drop down to when we see perhaps around sort of 45 to 40 on the 14 day and around about 45 to 42 on the 28 day. And this is how I expect that to probably reflect around that 35 cent mark as an initial buying back in point. Now, for you guys out there, you might be doing similar with accumulations. It might be your first time about hearing XRP. You just need to make sure that you follow some research of yourselves, but also look at some other various different channels and follow, more importantly than anything before, yourselves if you can, or start learning how to understand the data and history of a project. And I'm talking about even going back even 2-3 years or however long the data goes back for in the charts that you're looking at, because these are reflective on the entire cycle. Right now you can see we are bubbling. Literally, I just drew that orange line right there. I completely forgot about these areas back in 2020. Look at that, full resistance and support. Really big volatile aspects there across the history. We're talking about a 2-year history of XRP here, and you can clearly see we're at a very interesting crossroads, if you like, to see if XRP will continue to stabilize and use this as a new high of the cycle in terms of the longevity of the project, or we might dip back down to test these lower regions of 20 cents eventually. We'll have to see how that plays out, but we just need this for the first of all, the next few weeks and the months and 2 months to come to see if that actually happens or not. And on the right hand side here, you can see some nice indicator performances here actually. On the weekly, 6% up, which is great, and the 3 months, one of the very few projects to show green on this measurement, but also the month isn't too bad either. The year and the year to date, I'm quite surprised at, considering the suppression. It's just showing you there's a lot of confidence still in XRP and a lot of holders and a lot of people just holding in the background, right, and accumulating as and when they can. This is one of the lowest year to dates and year percentage negativities I've seen across the board. So this is really a positive momentum, as is the 6 months. So as these get dragged down, you can clearly see there's huge room for improvement in the price point moving forwards, but also on the positive scale, once we break even on the 0% and go up into positive attributes of green, we're going to see some really highs of XRP. And if the SEC does reduce itself, I'll remind people of the King coin a few years back, when it was deemed a security. So albeit that it failed its case, it still got clarification and it rose over 1,400% within 48 hours, which is quite phenomenal. If we did that where we are today, we're probably looking at around $6 to $8 of XRP, potentially, if we have the same scenario in this factor. And bear in mind, XRP Ripple is a hugely massive project compared to the King coin, no disrespect, but of course there's many eyes. When you're first into crypto or anything like this, you probably thought about Ethereum and XRP for many years, and you still do today. So you imagine how many people, when this gets into more mainstream, who perhaps pulled out maybe even the beginning of the year and gave up, now jump back in because they hear XRP has won its case or got clarity or whatever it might be, and it could potentially jump up to those numbers. We'll have to see. It's a long shot. More people are more aware of situations and regulations of what's going on in the crypto market. That's why I'm a bit of a firm believer that I don't think XRP is going to have this SEC lawsuit kind of figured out in this bear or winter market. I do think it'll be timed to a bull mechanism, you know. We'll have to see. I think it'd be quite rare to see something so significant in the space of a dead market, basically. We'll have to see. It depends on how much Ripple value the XRP token, because at the end of the day, one of the narratives around this is that should the XRP token ever have been available to retail investors in the first place? And that's something that Garden House and many others have been speaking about for many years. We'll have to see. But the waffle is over here, guys. That's what I'm doing with XRP at the moment, just holding tight to see if we have a bit more of a drop down back to these 35 cent or 36 cent marks. I'm keeping a close eye on everything as always. I don't really follow the SEC aspect too much unless I see official narratives from official sources, i.e. Ripple themselves or the SEC themselves. I'm not interested in other channels or narratives of media every 5 seconds saying settlement tomorrow, settlement tomorrow, settlement next week. I don't know why people bother following these channels and people or media if they just continue to build out tripe of what's occurring. So we'll keep you guys up to date with the real aspects and the real information. Thank you very much for watching this one. We'll wrap up XRP. We're going to follow this closely, especially the sector of real estate. I think it's absolutely fascinating. Don't forget as well, of course, to make sure you smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. But that leaves me to say thanks for watching this one, guys. We'll see you in the next XRP update video. Take care and bye-bye.